So let's welcome to the program Sankare or Sanks. And for the very few of you, if any, who do not know, that's Ibrahim G. Sankare. And he insists I should always, use the G. He is the government spokesman. He is also Barrow's advisor on diaspora affairs. Sometimes people ask me, Money, Ana Sankare Munchi Dekabi, Kejnako Degade. And of course, they are, waiting to hear from me. Sankare never a problem. And because people, come up with all sorts of conjectures. Well, he's silent because he's been fired by President Barrow. You've been silent for a while. Have you just been rehired back?
I think Barrow has sacked me more than 10 times.
According to social media.
Yeah.
Every time you've not appeared on a program, 2-3 consecutive weeks, I keep Sankare Mofi, Mogi. And I ask myself.
Yeah. But then Sankare also has a family. He has a life. He has a right to vacation, to have vacation, and to rest.
Absolutely.
And as a human being, he also falls ill, and then sometimes he needs to rest and get treatment as a person. So no, I'm not fired. As a matter of fact, the Gambia government just renewed my contract with them last week.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I am again around for.
People have to suffer you for another 2 years or more.
Or more, maybe. or maybe less, It all depends on what God decrees, Yeah. So, but then it's good to be back to the program, Peter. It's a program I love, whether in government or out of government. I think I am part of this program.
Absolutely.
My professor of English said part and parcel is wrong English. So I am part of this program.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, okay, I am
We'll
part
cut
of
off the parcel.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just, fresh from touring with the president, I can see that, you're still suffering, from the effects of the tour. Huh?
Yeah, with the gradual encroachment of the Hamatan winds, and of course the dust after the rainy season in the Gambia, it could be very hellish elsewhere with the wind, blowing, and then the dusty, situation. But then it's all okay. We Gambians, we're here to battle the storms and then make this country a better place.
Fantastic. Take us through the Meet the People tour. I mean, of course, every year.
I thought we were going to talk about our colleague Data Hydra.
We will talk about
later.
You want us to start there?
Well, we can talk about the tour.
No, let's talk about that because we spoke about data over a very sumptuous lunch.
Yes.
You have to give credit to Samanit.
Yeah, Papsen and his Benichin.
Yeah, absolutely.
He reported me to the wife that I refused to eat a lot. So she called and said, what was the matter? I said, no, I've just decided to eat, something minimal when it comes to Benichin.
You can't escape
Papsen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it was quite a moment, both somber and celebratory. Somber in the sense that one of the actually founders of the newspaper, The Point, Data Haidara.
Well, let's say The Point was 33 yesterday.
Yes, yesterday, yeah. It clocked 33 years, since it was founded December 16, 1991. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it was a very grim anniversary.
Yes, somber in the sense that Data Haidara was gone down
on what was the 13th anniversary of the paper.
Anniversary.
So exactly 20 years ago.
20 years ago, he was killed by cowards. And now we know it was the dictator, Yahya Jammeh, thanks to the TRRC, thanks to Barrow's government that actually constituted the TRRC, that the question that has been lingering on the pages of The Point, who killed Data, was finally answered. It was no longer a rhetorical question. It was an obvious answer that actually Yahya Jammeh ordered his henchmen, called the Junglers, to kill him only because of his acerbic editorials, his thoughtful articles on the status quo. And I said yesterday during my speech that July 1994 was cataclysmic in the sense that a government elected by the Gambian people was swept away by young military officers leading the head of state to take on a boat and flee to Senegal with a cross-section of his cabinet. And in the 22 years that followed, Gambia just became hell on earth. People were gunned down, people disappeared, women were raped, tortured, maimed. People left this country. Mile 2 prisons became not a prison to to reform people, but a dungeon.
Torture chamber.
It became a torture chamber, you know. And we ended up having unidentified graves, mass graves, school children being gunned down and shot, you know. So it was a madness, like I said. It was a madness that finally, the Gambian people came to their senses and decided that enough was enough. And of course, in 2016, all the people rallied behind one candidate, Adama Barrow, and they swept away the tyrant who for 22 years kept us under the thumb of his tyranny. So on a positive note also, the Gambia government came out with a press release through the Justice Minister that pretty soon a tribunal, a hybrid tribunal or tribunal, is going to be constituted that is going to try the people responsible for those atrocities that they meted to Gambians for 22 years. So that would bring us a sense of closure. The Ida Heritage family and so many other families that have been victims for decades without answers will eventually see a glimmer of hope. You know, and the light, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, like they say. And also for the point, it is positive in the sense that if you look at Ibrahim Silla, who is now a state minister, Mamadou Tangara, a state minister, and of course my very humble self, the government spokesperson and advisor to the president, we all pass through the point. So in that sense, it is an academy in its sense. It's an institution, a huge institution that has contributed in the molding and the character formation of Gambians, in their professional development, and going forward, I think we should continue to nurture and appreciate that a newspaper is not an enemy, a radio station is not an enemy, but it's supposed to be a development partner. And since journalism is one of those professions that advocate for ethical behavior, we anticipate that people who transition from newspapers and radios and join government would also help that government in becoming a better government, in becoming very transparent, in becoming tolerant, very tolerant, in fact more tolerant. You know, that's what you expect when you have journalists moving from radios and newspapers and joining government. And they become also more ethical, very incorruptible people. You know, that's what we learn. That's what we always challenge the status quo of corruption and all that. So when we leave and join them, we expect to show better examples. So in that sense, I think the Point newspaper, you know, has been a very great institution. And of course, Pap Sen, an incredible person, a phenomenal person, very simple person. So when the paper was launched, actually, December 1991, I was a school teacher, you know, at Sukuta School, you know, and for some of us who love to write and read, you know, it was an opportunity because we didn't have a paper quite regular at the time. Mm-hmm. So the emergence of Data Haidara, Pap Sen, and Babukar Gay, you know, when the paper debuted, really, it created an opportunity for Gambians. Yeah. I remember my late colleague, Matthew Jallo, great writer, you know, came to join us. Jay Sedi, you know, former press secretary, husband to former vice president, was there. The writer, Jonkunda Dafe, you know, the writer, Mumudu Kebe, you know, the writer, A.A. Barry, you know, may, you know, rest in perfect peace. So the point really, and of course, Mr. Summers, I don't know if he's still alive, former teacher, Gambia High School.
Yeah, the last time I heard about him, he was helping GPI, the Gambia Pastoral Institute.
Okay, great.
With their newsletter. He just likes to edit that man.
Oh, I know. So it was a confluence of ideas. You know, it was a confluence of the literati, if you like. Mm-hmm. People, the intellectuals would come around because they were looking for a medium where they could express their views, to write commentaries and feature articles. We didn't have that quite regularly. The Nation newspaper was there once in a while, great paper by Dixon Coley, and the Touch newspaper by Sanamani.
Gambia Outlook.
The Gambia Outlook, and the Gambian by Ngany Thomas, and you know, and the Gambia Onward by Mr. Allen. You know, but then they were not as, you know, periodic as the Point. You know, Foroya was there. Mm-hmm. Yes, a great paper, preceded the Point.
But not seen as a newspaper.
Yeah, most people saw it.
Organ.
Organ of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism. Yeah. So, but then before the Point, the Foroya occupied a very phenomenal part
Absolutely.
in the education of Gambians and even in their social and political orientation. It exposed so many malpractices and problems in the Jawara government.
There's no
so
doubt about that.
we have to give credit. So I think all in all, it was a celebration of excellence and, of course, a celebration of a great Gambian, Data Hedra. Yeah. May he so rest in peace.
And your point that the media, journalists are not enemies of the state, just reminds me that finally yesterday, the minister decided to deliver our license renewal. So now I have license to attack.
But yesterday,
Yes.
speaker after speaker, speaker after speaker was just, it's like, it was a firestorm on me. No, our bills are not paid. So I said, you know what? I didn't come here as a government spokesperson.
Yes,
I came here as a family member of the Point newspaper. Yeah. I helped in the development of this paper. At the Point.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
but they made a good point. I
Yeah.
mean, years past, if you invited a government minister, senior government official, nobody would want to
No,
associate.
I said that.
Yeah,
I said, I wonder if before Adama Barrow,
Yeah.
a government minister ever came here to talk about the life of Data Haidara or to talk about the greatness of the Point. I doubt that. Nobody, and the answer was nil. Yeah. So,
Even though two of the current ministers, began life at the Point somehow.
oh, absolutely.
Silla and Tangara.
Yeah, Tangara, yeah.
And then later we were joined by, DA.
D.A. Jao.
Yeah,
D.A. Jao.
absolutely.
The former minister, of course.
Barrow's first information minister.
Yes, and former president of the Gambia Press Union.
For many, many years.
Yeah, so it was.
For many, many years. He broke, the terrible news of Dida's killing to me and a few other people. I mean, he must have had a terrible morning on, the 17th of December 2004.
Yeah, like I said, Usman Silla, himself a victim of Yaya Jammeh, the veteran lawyer, Usman the barrister. Yeah, he called me around 5:30 a.m. in America and said, "Are you awake?" I said, "Yes, I'm ready to go to school." He said, "I don't think you're going to school today." I said, "Why?" He said, "Your friend Data Hedera has been murdered."
Wow, just like that.
Yeah.
Just like
So.
Okay, let's move on to the tour.
Yeah, the tour was great.
We like talking about the tour, criticizing what the president says.
Yeah, what I like about the tour is the camaraderie. It creates like this friendship. The president comes face to face with the people who elected him, and he listens to them. And at night they converge, on the yard at the presidential house in Mankamankunda, and villager after villager would talk and recite stories and proverbs. Sometimes you hear him with all these proverbs. So he learns them from these people. He said the other day, somebody told him, "Mr. President, you fond of saying that when a hater dies, the only time a hater rests is when he dies." He said, the man said, "No, I want to teach you something." He said it was a village headman. And he said, "No, if a hater dies, he doesn't rest." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because he goes to hell." So he said, the only time a hater rests is when the hater sleeps. But once he's dead, the president said, "But why?" He said, "Because he goes to hell." so yeah. But beyond and above the laughter and the rhetoric of it, and the beautiful thing is, after the independence celebration this year, in fact, they're going to make it a huge celebration. I think it's a 6-day event.
Next year, you mean?
Yeah, February, just next door. Yeah, President Barrow is estimated to be inaugurating close to 100 boreholes across the Gambia. Majority or most of those boreholes would be what they call cluster boreholes, and each has a capacity of 2,500 people. And most of these communities do not have that kind of a population. So the Honorable Minister of Fisheries, Musa Drame, went very hyperbolic about it, and he said, once the boreholes are inaugurated, we will begin to see, for the first time in Gambian history, animals moving from the woods, joining domesticated animals, and they'll be drinking from the same receptacles that that the domesticated animals drink from. And after they would vamoose into the bush. So they would vanish and return to the bush. And the president echoed this, and he echoed this and repeated exactly what the minister said. So it's a bunch of projects that I think I have the stuff here. I have this Basse notebook, I think I call it.
Is it all going to be in Basse?
No, I just call it, I was taking note on that day. I call it my Basse notebook. Yeah, so, and well, President also made a point that he is the first head of state to bring 100 buses at the same time in this country. And he said he wonder why nobody talks about this achievement of his. 100 buses came to the Gambia.
Because the buses probably have all broken down.
No, these are brand new buses that he brought here. Yeah. Brand new.
The ones he inaugurated at McCarthy Square?
Yeah, well, I guess, 100 buses at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
those are the buses for GTSC.
Yeah, but then you're talking about in the URR also, the giraffe project, I guess, had 3.8 million given to 26 women groups across the URR. That would go a long way in actually easing their difficulty and helping them involved in some small credit financing. Yeah, the finance, it is right here, the fisheries minister.
Is that the Women's Enterprise Fund?
Yeah. No, this is the giraffe project, agriculture department.
Okay.
Yeah, by February 2025, the president would inaugurate some 55 cluster boreholes across the country, which will significantly reduce the country's water problems. An additional 12 cluster boreholes, minimum capacity 2,500 people during the Diamond Jubilee. Another 15 boreholes by Gambia government, GLF. In sum, by the end of 2025, Gambia would have inaugurated some 80 plus boreholes.
82 from what
Then the Japanese grant, JICA 5 project or program, will provide an additional $19 million to fill the remaining gaps within rural Gambia. Additionally, the Gambia government, in collaboration with the UNDP, PSCD program, will provide an additional 55 boreholes for 55 communities throughout the rural Gambia. Yeah. So at some point, the minister said, wild animals will be leaving the bushes to drink water just as the domesticated ones. That's the code I was talking about. Yeah, so, and then the Sandu meeting was really, So your man, Ahmad Ba, also, he talked about several thousand cattle have died since the rain stopped as a consequence of raging bushfires deliberately caused by villages. He called them bad citizens.
Deliberately caused by villages?
Bad villagers. He said bad citizens, who have no interest in national development. I'm quoting Ahmad Ba. Basse, President instructed the Basse rally that he will form a joint ministerial task force. Among the ministries will be environment, lands, and agriculture. Will be traveling across the country to tackle head-on the menace of this national scourge that continues to devastate the environment, destroying our fauna and flora. So in Fonyi Kansala, which was November 19, 2024, President told citizens of Fonyi Kusamai, I beg your pardon, that he doesn't discriminate against any party or region in his development agenda, making a paradigm shift in the distribution of development projects compared to the past. He promised to come back in the not-too-distant future to inaugurate projects currently on the foot as those yet to be implemented in the future. Told them to unite and work towards the development of the Gambia so that this tiny nation will be a shining example for all to see, admire, and appreciate. It is only unity that can develop this country, so let's work together to advance the country, Adama Barrow said.
Okay, so that's what he said. What about the farmers? What did they request of him?
The farmers, it is natural. I said it here before. Gambia, despite all the development that has been taking place in the last 50 years, in the last 8 years of President Barrow's government, we still continue to struggle in various fronts. So we still continue to ply roads that are not motorable. We still have water issues. That's why all these boreholes are coming up. We still have farming issues. That's why the Gambia government has been very generous in supplying seeds and fertilizer free to farmers. So we also have problems with our health system. You know that our health care facilities, even though the government has built a lot of health care facilities, we still need more nurses. We still need more medicaments and medication. We don't produce those things. We import them. You need a lot of foreign exchange to bring those things here. Yeah. So there have been some modest developments. We acknowledge that, and we also acknowledge the fact that we still have room for improvement. Yeah. So the farmers generally would talk about fertilizer. They'll talk about the price of peanuts or groundnuts. Luckily, Gambia has topped the entire region in terms of its producer price for peanuts. So
well, it's a good price, but it's not one that seems to satisfy the farmers.
Yeah,
because they're saying that this has not been a good cropping season.
Yeah, not a good cropping season, but the price offered by government is comparatively higher than places significantly higher than countries in the sub-region. Man by nature is an Oliver Twist, He is always yearning for more. And that's a fundamental principle of economics, that nobody, leaves the market happy. You always want more for yourself. That's capitalist economy. That's the foundation of economics. So yes, I agree. As a son of farmers, I would want them to have more and more, but you have to also produce what you can give. If the government doesn't have adequate resources, how do you reconcile that situation? So you give what you can provide. And so far as it is better than the rest of the sub-region, I think, we can celebrate that.
And talking of celebration, the police are celebrating.
Yeah, well,
maligned as they are in some quarters. What do you know about this award that Sidi Mukhtar Toure went to collect in Dubai?
Well, I didn't.
And what does it say about the transformation, maybe, of the police force from
where? from the past?
The tool of terror it used to be, used against the people.
Yeah, the police as an instrument of coercion and torture and malfeasance. Well, I think I have to thank President Barrow for significantly transforming not only the police, but the security forces. A girl was raped at Brikama, not by police, but allegedly by fire service officers. And it led to some violence in this country, the demonstration. So across the spectrum, quite frankly, under Yaya Jammeh, the security services, were the people's number one enemy. That is a fact of life. The TRRC has produced evidence aplenty that this was the reality. Since Barrow came to power, you can see that the institutional reforms have been taking place. Sometimes you may get very discouraged and think it's going at a snail's pace.
That's what everybody thinks.
Yes,
except for those in government.
But then in Africa,
even some of the funders wonder why it's taken so long.
In Africa, Peter, across third worlds and across traditional societies, law reforms, legal reforms, security reforms have always taken a geological pace. Because we have so many things that inhibit against progress. Our own traditions, our own mannerisms. So this policing is not African culture. It's not Indian culture. This is not Asian culture. These are all Western cultures that are brought to us, and then just like we learn this English language, Yeah, I know. But the point I'm making is, yes, every society deserves the best police. And let me congratulate my brother, Sidi Mukhtar Toure, the Inspector General of Police, for receiving that coveted prize. Is commendable, is great.
He used to be very accessible to me when he was at immigration.
No, I think he still is.
Since he became IGP.
No, maybe he's a very shy guy too. I discovered he's a very shy guy.
Well, tell him I'm complaining, and I'm complaining publicly.
He's here. He heard you now. He's just heard you. So
when he was at immigration, I would just pick up my phone, call him, and
maybe he was inundated with the back way.
Put him on air.
Yeah. So I think the police in the Gambia. And a prophet is never recognized, they say, in his own home.
True.
So maybe in the Gambia we malign them and we accuse them of corruption or whatever. Yes, there might be problems here and there. But by and large, I have said this 4 years ago.
Even Barrow warned them. On this Meet the People tour.
Yeah, I know the people of Basse will not be happy with this prize because they have been reporting them, of taking bribes and from motorcyclists and all that. Yeah, but Peter, you have those problems everywhere, in the classroom, in the health system, even in the medical system. People accuse people of corruption and everything.
Yeah.
But by and large,
even in our profession,
in journalism, it's worse.
Really?
I know.
I hope you're not painting me with the same brush.
No, I remember when we were at Radio Gambia, I used to have colleagues, then Gamtel was trying to take Radio Gambia. And I have colleagues at the newsroom who would tell me, we are going to Bakari Njai to harvest. I say, harvest what? I say, money. I say, okay. So they would go to Banjul and come back and say,
But let's go back to the police.
But I'm just telling you, journalism, Ahmad Ba would agree with me. I'm sure he's listening. that while you have the best journalists in this country, the most ethical, but you also have very corrupt journalists across the world.
He doesn't even call them journalists.
What does he call them?
Join the list. Okay. You have journalists and you have joined the list.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And he said they always magu magu. I said, what is magu magu? He says his own English word, magu magu. So, well, anyway. But Peter, I mean, I think the police have come a long way. They also have challenges. They have challenges with vehicles. The anti-crime unit has...
That's for your government to solve.
No, I know. I'm just telling you that despite all this, I'm just being very honest, Peter, I'm sworn to the Quran and the Constitution that anytime I open my mouth, I have to speak the truth. Okay? Sometimes I'll say stuff that my colleagues will not like. Sometimes I'll say stuff that people on the streets or in the streets may not like. But that's just the nature of the beast. The spokesperson speaks what he has, Yeah, so I cannot say something that is not real.
Yeah. So they have vehicular challenges.
They have, and I'm sure they're working on it. I think the National Assembly has just approved some few millions for them to buy vehicles. I've seen that. Sometimes you also find them on the streets, and the uniforms they wear, they leave a lot to be desired. Some of them, sometimes I think, out of their own ingenuity or out of their own patriotism or maybe love for themselves, would even use their own money. Like Mamour Job used to tell me, the IGP, sometimes you don't have to wait for government. If you have money, you can go and buy a nice piece of cloth, take it to a tailor, and have some nice shiny uniform and appear like a police officer. Yeah. So even at work, I've worked for this government for 8 years. This is the first time I have a computer sent to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So all my press releases over the past 8 years.
Is it an Apple computer?
I think it's a HP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
they're good.
Yes.
They're good.
Yeah.
In the final 3 minutes that you have of the time allocated to you, you refer to the Diamond Jubilee celebrations next year.
Yeah.
So plans are already underway.
Yeah.
For a big celebration. How many heads of state are we?
We expecting maybe some four heads of state.
Only four.
Well, and other dignitaries. Well, if it is more than four, there will be complaints, Halis Amud. So anyway, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't see...
I think I can already guess,
No. Before you guess, I don't sit on the committee because I was away. My deputy spokesperson, Sankano, is the one who represents me on that committee. So, but to the best of my recollection, they have 4 heads of state invited.
Most likely Mauritania, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, yeah. Maybe if I'm wrong, maybe and beyond.
Okay.
But we're also going to have, some icons in the sub-region. Normally, people who contributed towards the formation of the new government after the impasse. Normally, the Ibn Chambers and the like.
Oh, he's Gambian now.
Yeah.
Ibn Chambers is here. Every other week almost.
Yeah. But 60 years of independence is a cause to celebrate. I think we have a cause to celebrate. So many things have happened. So many people have sacrificed their lives for independence. Some people sacrificed their lives to maintain the institution of democracy and the constitution, and people like Deda ended up dying. So 60 years is a lot to remember, it's a lot to celebrate. And of course, it also provides the avenue for us to be ready for the future, to have a better Gambia, a more developed Gambia, a more prosaic and then poetic Gambia. So all in all, I think 60 years would unveil a lot from Barrow's agenda.
We look forward to that. And on that note, thanks very much for coming.
My profound pleasure. Thank you so much.
Ibrahim G. Sankare, government spokesman, advisor to President Barrow on diaspora affairs. And it's Coffee Time with Peter Gomez.